Good day, all. My name is Robert Savino. I'm a board member of the Walt Whitman Birthplace. I greet you today on behalf of our new executive director, Caitlin Shea, and Walt Whitman Birthplace Association, and welcome you to the fifth gathering of the third triangulation series, Poets Building Bridges. Caitlin has assumed the role of Cynthia Shaw, who we will miss for her exemplary 17 years of service, as we welcome Caitlin back to the birthplace to carry on the legacy. Poets Building Bridges is produced by Poetrybay Productions for the Walt Whitman Birthplace and led by George Wallace, who has been the writer in residence at the birthplace for 14 years and also runs the monthly series Walking with Whitman and has been doing that for 14 years. The birthplace offers events throughout the year, many of them on Zoom, and I recommend you check out the website at waltwhitman.org. I thank you all, performers and guests, for joining us here today on the journey. I thank Heather back at the birthplace for our technical support. And George, I thank you for the continuance of this program, the continuance of your support to the birthplace, and your continuance of poetry worldwide. Now I turn the journey over to George Wallace.
Excellent. Thank you. Robert Savino, from the board of directors, also a fine poet in his own right and a former Suffolk County Poet Laureate. So I'm delighted to be able to put this series together for the Walt Whitman Birthplace, where I've been a writer in residence for 13, 14 years now. There's poet in residence as well. That's the big kahuna. I'm just the grunt under, below the surface doing this kind of work. The most recent one being Linda Gregerson. But it's an exciting opportunity to work with an institution like the Walt Whitman Birthplace to do the kinds of things that we do, each of us in our various locations in the New York area, in Southern California, in Egypt or beyond, to gather groups of people together into some kind of a community activity of poetry. In this case, triangulating different communities from different groups from different areas around the world. It's a unique thing, and we're really pleased with it. As you know, this Walt Whitman's Poets Building Bridges is archived and presented on YouTube, so you can expect to see this show very soon, in a couple of days or a week at YouTube. Feel free to stay online the whole hour and 40 minutes or so to talk with each other back channel or on the chat room. And anybody in the audience that's in the Zoom itself, feel free to contribute comments on the side in the chat room. We're very pleased to have people here in the audience today, some of whom have been members of the program in previous sessions. We have with us today a group of people based in New York City or out the Para New York City area now, because Jane Ormerod, who is the leader of Great Weather for Media, is now up in Hudson and doing a lot of activities there, but Great Weather for Media is still very much of a New York City institution. And all of our editors here today and performers in that are going to be representing in one way or another the New York City scene. From Southern California, led by Rich Ferguson, we have poets who are either in the beat / non-beat anthology or representatives of the Los Angeles area in one way or another, a greater LA area, which Rich will explain further. So that's 3 hours earlier than where we are here in New York, and 7 hours in the other direction. We have people from Egypt, and I'm not sure exactly where Noor is at these days, but the Middle East. So we have people that it's the evening for, who are going to be representing Arabic-speaking poets from the Middle Eastern region. So they will be the third group of people presented. Saruk Mahmoud put that group together, but in her absence, I will be comparing that group when the time comes. So thank you all for joining us. Hope you enjoy the show. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Jane Ormerod, who will tell you about Great Weather for Media and introduce our guests. Jane.
Thank you, George. Yeah, Great Weather for Media. George is one of our founding editors, and I'm really happy today. We've also got Thomas Fucaloro and David Lawton reading, both fabulous editors. What to say about Great Weather? We formed in 2012, January 2012, so we've been going a long time. We publish solo poet collections and then anthologies of poetry and short fiction. And many of the readers you're going to hear today in the next section as well have been in part of our books. Our latest one is A Shape Produced by a Curve. And our next collection, which will be out in a couple of months, is Beacon Radiant, which we are really excited about. And I urge you to go to the Great Weather for Media website, because we have special offers on all of our anthologies at the moment. So they are very, very good prices. So please support us. I'm sure David and Thomas will say a few extra things about Great Weather as we get along, but I think we should dive straight into the poetry, and I'm very happy to introduce David Lawton.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, George. Hello to all my friends in far-flung places and to the new friends that I'm making today. The only thing I'll throw in before I start is that Great Weather for Media will be represented at the New York City Poetry Festival coming up in July. So you can make your travel plans. That's Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and 14th of July. And we have a group of our anthology readers featured on Saturday at 2:30, Saturday the 13th. It's really a cool event to check out. And so meet up with Great Weather for Media there. That's my only announcement that I know about. And now the poetry. 95 nowhere. Speeding out of the darkness, lines of broken white, dull yellow border. This is not the clickety-clack rhythm of a time gone by. This is the smooth transit of a restless yearning, with just the regular reminder of a shiny, flat speed bump to keep you in your lane and stir your wakefulness. Bumps like those candy buttons laid out on wax paper, unrolling in all the colors of the rainbow, though they tasted all the same. The taste of sweet nothing, but you ate them nonetheless, greedily ate them because they were candy, and they told you that candy was good. So you let it unscroll because you wanted something good, and if it was not, then perhaps it would lead you to what was, because something good might make you feel like you deserved it. And then this aimless wandering might become a destination. Run alongside a silver Camaro, and some jock-strapped stardust may rub off when they hang their balls-ass moon in the window. A Coupe de Ville rolling slow along the strip might school you with its cool. A Volkswagen bus, properly decaled, could shotgun a contact high. Headlights search out an escape in the trash-strewn breakdown lane, or scrub pines behind the billboards, the abandoned amusement park slowly swallowed by the swamp. Wasting gasoline, wasting our time, wasted in general, waiting, wondering, where does my road lead? Crackety Jones flunked out of Zoomass, ate at Buzzy's roast beef while on MDMA, tried to break in the city jail to make his escape, rode passed out all night on the Huntington line. Crackety hopes everything is all right, but wants to know if an opinion is a thing you have. one time too many stuck in traffic on the overpass has him of the opinion that he's misplaced his mind. Mayakovsky wore a yellow shirt, a take that kind of blouse, vast, loud, a shining, pissy, flaxen dandelion. Sewn by his mother in the peasant style, it cuffed the ears of the intelligentsia. But the Soviet-made Mayakovsky packed that yellow shirt away, said he could best serve the party by stripping away such idiosyncrasy. So they buttoned him down before strapping him in till everyone was scared to listen to him. But the yellow shirt has never stopped calling our attention. In the wrapper, inside my skin, solitary in my privileged freedom, immobile with static uncertainty, mind clogged, lost in confusion, unsure if we can find our way, I enter into my personal cloud chamber, charged with the force of shared legacy, saturated by eternal dichotomy, surface tension, waiting for release. On my skiff, trailing particle streams, endeavoring to be clear, but still seem cool, a heightened perception, visualizing the passage. You do not escape, but carry on, skimming the unconscious. I remember all that I tried to hold on to that plunged me into the misty depths, intoxicating in its insubstantiality. Find the place where I resurface to submerge myself again. Sometimes, of a given morning, climbing out of the subway in New York, I'm struck by a certain angle of sunlight, overwhelming, which tells me the sun is shining just that way in the neighborhood where my mother grew up, where she once picked blueberries on top of Rag Rock, lit a fire on the hillside with secreted matches, fell through the ice skating in Library Park, took a shortcut to meet her friends at Callahan's ice cream shop. My son is the same as hers in the same moment, shining through the window of the senior housing unit where she looks down on that same old neighborhood and wonders what I am doing under the sun. One less piece of me to add up to my wholeness, gone after all it's going. Another hole in my head that won't grow back, yawning void gaping into the abyss. There's no kind of spackle that can patch up where it can't truly adhere. Even phantom feelings are missing parts, a vacancy for all the ghosts I love. Microscopic bugs are noshing on my dead skin when I sleep, while bed bugs sneak drinks of my blood and earworms are farming my potatoes of wax. It just means I am traveling lighter. When someone broke my heart, it broke my back. Then all the Tinker Toy pieces were flooded with air, every hole playing harmonic overtones of dog whistle frequency. These gaps simply opening an opportunity to plant, another hollow cleared to sink my thirsty roots into, a perennial rising to anchor me to this crumbling vacuity. And I thank you for listening.
Hey, let's welcome Thomas Fucaloro.
Good afternoon. Aunt Pearl's ceramic off-pink starfish. How you regaled us, story abounded, entrusted, encrusted on thee. To Aunt Pearl's ceramic off-pink starfish. How you used it to battle the Nazis in World War II like a superhero possessed. My Aunt Pearl would weaponize, throw, penetrate, permeate in the name of the piano, a soft hum, echoes piercing flesh. To Aunt Pearl's ceramic off-pink starfish, how I played with you when younger, and other worn-out sculpted things on our shelves like books. I never had to look up to the stars. For that moment, I let go of the stars in my hand. Hand it to age. Time cries another worn-out spirit gone. We said goodbye to Aunt Pearl, but Aunt Pearl's ceramic off-pink starfish lives on until Uncle Danny sold it at a yard sale to the Hendersons. And you can see it through their window on their bookcase, wearing a drooping watch, 2 rings, and a whole lot of rubber bands. Aunt Pearl's ceramic off-pink starfish isn't dead, but it's dying of someone else's banality. They must be stopped. At Target, I purchased this ceramic and silver-plated octopus, purple in shape with the tentacles edged. It's not what you save, but how you look foolish saving it. I ring their bell. All right. Speaking of Pearl, Great Weather just started this new series, especially for our East Coast friends, called Great Weather for Workshops. And on May 22nd at this place called the Living Room NYC, which is this amazing gallery space on West 30th Street, 224 30th Street. Puma Pearl is going to be leading an in-person workshop. It is free. I'm just going to put the registration link in the chat if you're interested. Thank you, Francine, for signing up for the workshop I saw. But if you're interested, please, we'll be doing one once the third Wednesday of every month, and they will be free. So fantastic. And they will be awesome. So what a terrible adjective to use for workshops. But to thine own self waffles. 1 cup of frustration mixed with egg whites and sulfuric anxiety. Dip frustration into cinnamon swirled expectation pool of cynicism. Think of something you hold dear and dip that notion into egg batter. Use a dead relative's cauldron spoon and spin like the record done spun. Slice open the belly of an avocado, mince, words, serves 12 people and 8 ghosts. So I have one more commercial for you, and then I'm just going to keep going with poems. I have a new chapbook through Neuronautic Press called Let Go. And if you're interested, I'm just going to put the link of that in there as well. I'm going to read a bunch of 30-30 poems now, hopefully. I hope, have people seen Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars? I hope I don't spoil anything for you with this next poem. From the perspective of Luke Skywalker's hand. This is what letting go feels like. From responsibility into the great beyond, I am a motivational pillow slogan. Happiness is letting go of what you can't claim. I am still one with the force. Ploding pules, pulse, palm, suture, becoming body. I no longer hold a weapon. I am the weapon. I am unburdened. Happiness is letting go of what you think you ought to be. I am a T-shirt slogan. I am original dark charcoal art print, original black and white dreams that stare back at you in force ghost form celebrating. I am the only one that raises me now. So Mother's Day is coming up, so I've got some Mother's Day poems. The red velvet tattered airwalks that I've had since I was 19. What is worn is often what has lived many lives. You can see the dark gray cloth rips in them, just like my poems. The soles are slippery and have no grip. The laces worn and always coming undone through time, and the odor, just like my poems. What is torn is often what has lived many deaths. They walk by themselves, the dead doth rise, the ghosts do haunt. My mother lives in every one of my poems and in the red velvet tattered airwalks that I've had since I was 19. So run, dear friend, barefoot in the rain. It's all a part of you. It doesn't matter. These poems don't matter until the dead. All right, so I think I have time for two more. All right. Sorry for the pauses. All right, I'm gonna go for a very angry one right now. Again, it's Mother's Day, but I am also angry. The title of this poem is a quote I heard on the bus, and it just, yeah. My mother just died, and I don't give a fuck. Someone says before they are just about to break out into a fight on the bus, and you could understand their point of concern because I don't give a fuck either. But this isn't my fight. But I can empathize with their demeanor. Everything lately is an almost fight on a public bus, ready to rip out some motherfucker's hair from their head and sell it back to them through crypto. My mother's dead and I'm alive. And if I should be thankful for what she has given, but all I can think about is that Metro card ding, like the starting bell ring and the gloves come off and I am ready to gnaw on an eardrum or 12 apostles, guessing what is next for our bearded hero as he tries to navigate this earth without his mommy, without his life net, support field, his always. But this isn't my fight, just my projection, not even a beacon or a bat signal, just a lazy attempt at explaining my toxicity turned to 11. I am 47, but can't seem to act my age, so I act my cage. And I think that might be it. I think that might be 10 minutes, so I will stop there. Thank you so much. Sorry to end on a yelly poem.
Thank you, Thomas. Let's turn to Jane, and I think we should hear something from Jane.
Okay, thank you, George. And David and Thomas, that was amazing, awesome, as one of Thomas's new words. Fantastic. And thank you, George, for being an amazing editor as well. And I'm going to give a shout out to Mary Slechta up in Syracuse, who does incredible editing work as well. And all our editors are also writers and poets themselves. So I really do urge you to seek out their work and buy books at the moment from all these people, amazing people who are reading today. This George has got together. Please support the arts, everyone. Buy their books. We need it. I think I've got time to read one poem. I'm going to read Behind the Green Light. Oh, your shoulder, my troubled timepiece. At 3:03 a.m., I miss the melody of drink, the blood of horse, and 10,000 is less than half of 20,000. And the eye reappears in a billy goat ache, in the peanut gift of daughter with scoop of egg and the coastal wind from a pelican's back. Blaze talk is real estate. Complete your thick crust pie later. No, don't stand up. This is business, like flogging standing desks, rigged decks and cognac snifters with splinters of unsolicited advice. Thick friends, thicker letters, a gambling neighbour, last year's advent calendar. Dinner at Tony's on the corner of 2nd? Okay. Driven by sugar, cinders and discredit. The sound of the doctor's car at sundown. Obey, curtsy, slither, write another letter. A blur of baby names. Coo, 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 little fuckers. I don't know. Do you prefer women with whiskey or ladies with lettuce? Because I don't. This is not about choice. This is deeper than graveyard training, those spangled shoulder pads and shouldered history. This is tip-top, tiptoe, top-to-toe and toenail beauty. You can count on me all the way to 100 and past. A few minutes for comparisons. You know all about it. Non-cooperation, stealth, health as mold. 3:03 p.m. in room 303, and you're counting your catches, your looks and locks, poultry and stage fright directions. Keep strong, you say. Keep grounded, and you clock them in and you clock them out, searching for flower sellers. There is no slab. Contact us for further information. Do not linger in this waiting room. It's all about the stream, the right of way appliances. Milk. Milk is milk is milk is milk. How many pints are stacked around the autopsy table? All this news and all this poison, everything spreads or burns or bubbles. Memory is a bad folk singer. An origin is a bitch, a crapshoot really, a crab forced the wrong way, which is forward. This is calligraphy at birth. This is you telling the earth about the moon, claiming the moon swims with milk. You swim back in 4th and 5th dimension. Ha, the dimension is always male. Today, the crowd is a study in syrup. Cordiality is the hiking pole slash, the loss of clockmakers. My mind rests behind the razor in the icebox, behind the hemisphere appointment. The bag in the river is my pillowcase from later tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, George, again, for setting this up. And I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone. And we've been great weather for media. Thank you.
There you go. Great weather for media, Jane, David, Thomas. Thank you all for participating today. You know, just for you people on the West Coast thinking of what the Hudson Valley is like and things happening in Hudson, it's more like something happened in San Luis Obispo as it relates to LA. more than the Mojave Desert, less like the Mojave Desert. So it's just a ride down by train, and Great Weather for Media is now a multi-based entity. You've probably seen Great Weather for Media in Southern California, San Francisco, or elsewhere, really, putting on shows. So, and I know several of you in Southern California have been in the publication, so there's a lot of old friendships that are being renewed here today. With that, I'll turn it over to Rich Ferguson, who is a peripatetic in Southern California, and he's done any number of really valuable kinds of organizational work in Southern California and beyond. Put together the Beat Not Beat anthology of California poets through Rhone Press. He's deeply associated with the National Beat Poetry Foundation in Connecticut, where he's named Beat Poet Laureate, and performed with the likes of Michael Stipe, Michael Frank, Franny, Katie Lang, shared the stage with Patti Smith, Wanda Coleman, Moby, and other esteemed poets and musicians who come to Los Angeles, I suppose, or elsewhere. We've seen him here in New York, and now we're seeing him here in this Zoom reading between the three groups today. Please welcome to introduce our Southern California poets, Rich Ferguson.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here, and great weather. You rock. I'm so happy to reunite with all of you today. The group of poets out here in California are featured in this anthology, Beat Not Beat, an anthology of California poets. We sort of pay homage to the beat tradition, but it kind of goes beyond the not beat part. A diverse, dynamic group of poets discussing various issues. Today, we're featuring a few of the poets from that collection. Alexis Rhone Fancher, who is in the anthology, but also one of my fellow editors, Connie Williams and Matt Sedillo. I also want to give a shout out to my other fellow editors, S.A. Griffin and Kim Shuck, and to Kathleen Florence, who's reading today, who was really there from the very beginning, helped come up with the idea for Beat Not Beat and helped to see it all the way through. So Kathleen will be reading today as well. I'm going to just jump right in. This is called Soundtrack to a Modern Day LA Palm Noir. Sounds of Hollywood land, thrills and chills set in ultra-moody hues of 1940s, 50s gangster LA. Brass-knuckle fast talk of hard-boiled thugs and detectives, kiss-me deadly melodies of femme fatales, bar brawls, cat calls, the cold click of stiletto heels, stiletto blades, and moored cooler doors closing on still another John Doe. Those sounds mixed with present-day sounds, riotous rhythms forged from hands of Leimert Park djembe demigods, break-beating on wings of rap and revolution, car horns, car radios, car alarms. Freeways clogged with huddled and befuddled masses inching towards invention, reinvention, prosperity, invisibility. The bark and bite of bulldogs and bulldog revolvers, our past and present city sounds combining and recombining to create the soundtrack to a modern day LA Palm Noir, a white heat double indemnity song of live and die set deep in the blood, pulsing through the hearts and minds of one and all. Century City lawyers to San Pedro dock workers, West Side yoga warriors to Skid Row warriors, drug addicts to the clean and sober, clergy members to tattooed rock gods, those on their deathbeds and those suffering from fevered dreams of almighty stardom, our soundtrack to a modern day LA Palm Noir.
Packs the hot and howling will of Santa Ana winds, earworms its way into our soul. Jukeboxes with our inner demons seeks alleyways as if they're confessionals in which to share sins. It's mirrors and reflections, rain and complex plot lines, fingernails dragging across our blackboard jungle brains as that voice in our head proclaims, yeah, I've been beaten up, but I'm not beaten, and I'm not quitting. Our soundtrack to a modern day LA poem noir, stained with its history of notorious crimes and criminals, the Black Dahlia to Sharon Tate, the Hillside Strangler to the Grim Sleeper. It's a hymn filled with hums of late night neon signs and the short vowel sound of death's last sigh on a victim's lips. Ohms and bad omens, sirens and babies crying, police helicopters circling, buzzing like hornets out for a sudden sting. One must develop an ear for our city song, harmonize slow and steady at first, then cruise into the fast lane, dodge multi-car pileups of those who burned out before burning bright, anxious leaps of fate that only a precious few have survived. Our soundtrack to a modern day LA poem noir, lurid and lethal hunger fueled by gasoline, sweat, and tears, decked out in false eyelashes and false promises. It's a true love and true crime booty call, wooing with stroked and stoked hallelujahs, purring like sex kittens, knitting kisses out of thin air, moving, grooving, coaxing, cajoling, ready to find us innocent or guilty beneath midnight street lights shining like halos and interrogation lights. Our soundtrack to a modern day LA poem noir. It's a death song in the key of cordite heard by Sam Cooke when taking a bullet at the Hacienda Hotel. It's a nonstop party song willed by Tom Waits, Iggy Pop, and Janis Joplin at the Tropicana in the low-rent, high-spirited 60s. Songbirds sit on phone lines, mimicking our city's Reverend Dread soundtrack. Earthquakes only visit us because they want to learn how to shake, rattle, and roll like we do from Olvera Street to Rodeo Drive, Watts Tower to the Miracle Mile. Generations of races and ethnicities, occupations and preoccupations adding to our city's song. From labor movements battling 1920s union busters to 50s and 60s Chavez ravine families facing down bulldozers and eviction notices, from African Americans chased out of 1930s sundown towns to the later cries of Rodney King suffering the blows and bruises of racism-wielding police, from the technicolor visions of Timothy Leary to the technicolor machinations of Raymond Chandler. Our city song, it can be so serious and surreal. Drum loops of dull footsteps pacing confines of 6x8 cells at Men's Central Jail, mixed with the disembodied voice of Joe Gillis narrating the story of Sunset Boulevard while floating dead in a swimming pool. Other days, our city song is a raucous hip-hop, crumping and locking down Hollywood Boulevard, a funky freestyle, red carpet gala, popping with paparazzi and Klieg light bonfires, illuminating our highest selves. Let us shine, let us shine, let us shine. Our gangster-fied and glorified city sounds revving their engines, burning rubber on asphalt, breaking all natural and supernatural speed limits, drag racing down the 10 freeway to 5, 405, 101, and 60 to all points north, south, east, and west, from Koreatown to Croatian Place, Little Moscow to Little Ethiopia, Lake Balboa to Larchmont, Echo Park to the Palisades. Every shade in LA's urban crayon box, creating the mood, mystery, shadows, and light, harboring the living and dead. Everything existing between celluloid and the flesh, all the devils and angels that are our dance partners in this manic and mystical, sadistic, and symphonic soundtrack to a modern day LA poem noir. And up next, we have one of the driving forces for Beat Not Beat, Kathleen Florence. She's a poet, songwriter, playwright. She puts down words to perform them up. Let's welcome Kathleen Florence.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for that amazing poem. Texas is an extra large pizza, smothered in red. You won't find any pineapple pieces here, but specialty coffee and hop-infused water are the extras dressed in blue. Sneaking up on the tractors and trucks of this long-haul drive is Sheriff Side-Eye and yellow highway lines lassoed to one puffy cloud ahead. Texas is a boat without water, sky without shade, tiny white clapboard church and a flag as big as a 3-story hotel. Texas is the last picture show, colorized and advertising pottery for sale. Antiques, boutiques, soy candles, and whiskey-infused sweetener. Every small town is a showdown between settlers and California creep. It's the same everywhere. Artists changing neighborhoods, artsy raising rurals into destinations where hillsides are painted white. Texas is an unclimbable tree, a dried out rocky root off limits sign. It's a picnic stop without table, an hour between gas stations, a water sprinkler bylaw, a state with one natural lake, a tough-horned bull on a thirsty ranch dotted yellow-purple flowers come spring. A flat balloon cacti spiked, saying congratulations, safe travels, and all the best. Texas is a bug flying into the windshield, telephone pole shaped like a cross. Cloud watching from the passenger side, shapes flying under the big top moving at great speeds, though from down here it's as if they are pillows for unyet imagined thoughts getting ready to burst into raising our flowers. Texas is a 5 o'clock shadow, moving across the land of a pimply-faced boy, a lonely ranch boy fixing his one red wagon to pull that lodestar into another night. Texas is a spectrum of green to sand going east to west, all the way to Last Chance El Paso. Hell is a shopping mall. Hell is a dingy bar, a sitting parlor, a shopping mall on a bright summer morning and the time it takes to learn what isn't there. Hell is an empty room where angel songs played by the finest bands are booed by misers chained to misery. Hell is a father yelling, "Go to sleep," because he's tired and hasn't yet found therapy. Hell is a bus to the hospital where your mother dies before you arrive. It's Ulysses in your kitchen drinking wine at 8:45 in the morning. It's an elevator 9 floors down where Orange Julius is served by Judith in the skull of his son who won't return his calls. Hell is eviction from your own home. Your family killed by a drone flown by a gamer in the basement. Hell is a water taxi never touching land. It's a love affair that ended before it began. Hell is a foggy shape in the distance covered in ice. A twisted mouth chewing without ever killing the center of the women whose bodies have still not been found. Hell wears the crown of a stomachache, a smashed knee, a broken back, an endless hangover, a bleeding, pussing, month-long open sore without a drop of sauce to numb the exposed bone or cover the smell of infection. Hell is suffering endlessly until morning, when it begins again in a dingy bar, a sitting parlor, a shopping mall on a bright summer morning. What stays in Vegas? Highway, blue sky, mountain range, hotel, motel, 40-ouncer gas station plaid. Flannel Park RV, reservation jewelry, double or nothing bet you get yourself a new deck. It's Superstar Drive. Under a red-hot sun, this town is a holiday. It's a drive-through wedding. It's a woman in a parka with a dog in the back of a covered truck holding a sign, whatever you can spare. Her face says, I had to leave. There's no shelter there. No tree to sleep under, shed to stand in, where the gun, smoke, dust clouds, demons 6 stories high, twist their way across the land. Who is my shelter? Her sign doesn't ask. It begs. And last one, thank you, is Singing in Unison. When all the churches have gardens with food for the hungry, when we can eat, when we can grow what we eat without a permit or poison, when we give without need for receipt, and no one is without a home or safety, then we can measure the thickness of walls and see if they hold up. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. That was wonderful. You make hell in Texas sound like places that I want to spend more time, which is pretty hard feat. Up next, one of my fellow editors on Beat Not Beat. She's a celebrated and award-winning poet and photographer. Let's give it up for Alexis Rhone Fancher.
Hello, thank you for having me, Jane, George, David. Nice to see everyone. Hey, Rich. Hey, Kathleen. Congratulations, by the way. I'm going to read 3 poems. This first one is about my life as a photographer. It's written for a friend of mine. It's called Grab Shot. You Ferrari, baby. You Otis Elan. You dream man, smooth moves, always some sleek bitch on your arm, and me sidekicking, just afterthought. So I shoot you, replicate you in oversized prints, spread out on my bed like facsimile. Those blown up biceps, finely tuned torso, face up on my pillow, your perfect pores. How the camera loves you, baby. Those smoldering Billy D shots aimed straight at a woman's vulnerability. How you juice them, seduce them, your voice dropping an octave when a woman calls and you get all berry white. You've kept up the upkeep, changed the oil, sleek, toned, you Alpha and Romeo, baby, you candy apple, you metal fleck. The wind's buff glitter all around you. That night at my studio, after one too many Hennessy, we stand toe to toe and I turn my lips to yours and ask, why not me? You grab my ass with 2 hands, squeeze and shrug. Baby got no back. And I flash to that chorus line of slow-eyed beauties you bedded, each one bottom heavy, riper than I could ever be, as if derriere was the measure of a woman. Let's get back to work, you say. I flick on the lights. Oh, baby, you shimmer, you gleam. Stand up, I tell you. Pull the shirt above your head. Now you can't see me for real. You who can't see lust for forest, for trees. You who wouldn't know love if it bit you on the ass. I have 2 more. This one is for my first love, Angelica, and it's called Power Play. When my lover tells me I cannot say no and I protest, she parts my legs, says, yes, baby, yes, I do what I'm told. No becomes a foreign country. I take it as permission, open season. So when the waiter asks if there'll be anything else, I peruse his menu. I'm stuffed, but I say yes, cram my mouth with macaroons and chocolate. And when the Lyft driver seduces me in the rear view, eyes me like prey, asks, may I kiss you? I say yes. And when the long-legged woman I've long lusted after at the gym wonders aloud if I'm single, asks me to dinner and a movie, I say yes. And when she invites me into her bed, what can I say? Yes, yes, yes. And when my fan in Nova Scotia begs me to be his muse, to sanction an explicit ode to my breasts, my ankles, my lower lip, a poem he would never show his wife, I cannot say no to his lust and illusion. Now he wants to climb me, sublime me, shoot me full of stars. Is this what you want too, he writes, and I answer, yes. And when I return to my lover at last and she sinks into the heady dampness between my thighs, looks up at me and asks, have you been faithful? I say, yes. I'm going to close with one that
Alexis, we lost your voice.
All right, we'll try this again. It's called Cruel Choices. When my husband's 2 grown daughters are in town, the 3 of us go to the movies or play pool, share dinner every night, stay out late. I haven't seen my stepdaughter since my son's funeral in 2007. When people ask, I say nice things about the girls as if we had a relationship. When people ask if I have children, I change the subject or I lie and say no. Or sometimes I put them on the spot and tell them yes, but he died. They look aghast and want to know what happened. Then I have to tell them about the cancer. Sometimes when the older daughter, his favorite, is in town and she and my husband are out together night after night, I wonder what it would be like if that was me and my boy, if life was fair. And rather than my husband having 2 living children and I none, we each had 1 living child. His choice which one to keep. Lately, when people ask, I want to lie and say, yes, my son is a basketball coach. He married a beautiful Iranian model with kind eyes, and they live in London with their twin girls who visit every summer. The same twins his girlfriend aborted with my blessing when my son was 18, deemed too young for fatherhood, and everyone said there would be all the time in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. And thank you again with your assistance on Beat Not Beat, invaluable. Up next, in addition to being a captivating poet, love seeing this poet live. He's an actor, performance artist, and radio personality. Let's give it up for Conney Williams.
Oh, great Jacaranda. Lately, I've mused over you, caught a glimpse of you and your bark and limbs posing through half-curtained windows in the comfort of my den. I thought you had died. Thought El Nino's onslaught had killed you. You are more fidel than Jesus. As I prepared your eulogy, there's another delicate resurrection inside those outstretched arms. I want to be as resolute as you, make up my own mind when I no longer want to bloom. Neath all this blue, neath all this yesterday. All of me is fragile. I don't believe in UN resolutions or wars that only last 6 days. Family is lost inside drones and surges, lost inside a West Bank settlement. The redness of our blood is a nickel a barrel, and we have no blood to barter for safety. Death moved into the apartment next door. Plans to sublet from me and my family. Soon the air is shrapnel, and my people sifted like desert. The world doesn't care if we have a home or peace. Does anyone remember that we used to be a nation? All of me is fragile, vulnerable, and a forever wound. I have lost all hope, like limbs severed without anesthesia, afraid to retrieve them from among the rubble of treaties broken before the ink of signatures dry. There's no hope in this world for a people not considered God's people. What I smelled on you last night for Noah, it must have been the same perfume Mary Magdalene waterfalled on Messiah's head before his betrayal by Judas, a fragrance so pregnant with melody that it permeated that room with envy and adoration simultaneously. I smelled it on you, my son, as I lay behind you on that yawning sofa, even though every window was open in that cozy Vienna apartment. Two-person European cars shimmy by like lawnmowers. Cafes lark late with conversations I can't comprehend, as though these ancient architecture with ghosts straddling their ornate balconies were writing operas about you visiting her, pulling me in tow. They must be inhaling you too. The aroma on your skin, stalking street corners, pedestrian riverbeds. This apartment can't contain it. No more than that room where Christ reclined and that former whore found redemption that night in her extravagant offering. How she must have earned the money to buy such confection. So much delicateness poured out as though there was no need for tomorrow. I feel like that tonight. Your adolescent musk preparing me for the day when tomorrow will no longer be necessary. My last poem. Closing my dad's savings account. I stabbed my father to his face before walking out on him and what I believed to be home. Never considered that possibility could exist inside a vocabulary, tutored by secrets and inadequacy. My tongue, unaccustomed to such a foreign dialect, confidence spread like algae beneath the surface of doubt and dysfunction. This uneasy conversion was anathema. My father cleansing our temple daily like a jealous Jesus, his mouth full of orthodoxy, fear congealed like a Good Friday. So I betrayed my father, not like Judas or Brutus, but just as Peter did the Lord the night before his crucifixion. My impromptu dare sounded the same as the night, and surprise held his face hostage, accusing my claim of absolute inside his eyes as though they were being nailed to a stake. His lips, balmed with disappointment, refused to tremble, but offered begrudged absolution, surrendering an 18-year reign like a rabid dog being put down. I spoke like Pentecost, cloven tongues sliced through air and resistance. And though I still wasn't the man I bartered with God regularly to transform me into, the possibility did exist inside an immature vocabulary that maybe I could be more than a Messiah. Thank you.
Wow, Connie, the plane, I don't know if you can hear the planes overhead. Yeah, you never disappoint. Thank you, thank you. As with all the Beat Not Beat poets today, thank you. You never disappoint me. You all are the best. All right, our last Beat Not Beat poet. He's been described as the best political poet in America, the poet laureate of the struggle. He's all over the world these days, and I'm so happy for all his successes. Let's bring this Beat Not Beat train home with Matt Sedillo.
Hey, thanks, Rich. Hey, everyone, check it out. Look, here I am in Pesaro, Italy. So here's poem. Once upon a dream, at least so I heard, from a time long before in a land now distant, we gathered, took shelter from the winter. Our child eyes wanted the stars, collected moonbeams from the tops of trees, and our heart was a beat. And each generation, once the next, we built stronger nests, and legends were left fuller than found. At least so I heard about the time before. I was born on a stretch of land known for its weather, where the sun shone its light upon the righteous and the wicked, the wretched and the privileged, the innocent and truly guilty alike, as their gilded steps fell upon our heads. For those who own the land own the law, and those who do not, only its consequence. I had this dream once, a man walked the child to the edge of a hill upon which sat a mansion. He pointed up and said, "Son, there live the rich, and though you and I may never live to see it, one day this hill will run red with their blood. Sometimes I have all the strength. Sometimes I have none at all. I have this recurring life. Every moment is midnight. Every step is fog. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up to a downtown bus ride alongside a friend of mine. Tell me your troubles, and I'll tell you mine. And we just shoot the shit, pass the time. Some about a job, some about a car, some running with the cops. Someone's got fucked up by the law. Everyone stood around and watched, but I talk my way out like I always do. Tells me school children are chanting in your children's face, Trump. Trump and build the wall. We were children during Prop 187. This is worse. I imagine. I pause. I restart. This is worse. I know it ebbs and it flows. Always really coming and it never really goes. Our kids aren't just kids in this country. Talk history. Mendez and Lemon Grove, Rodriguez, San Antonio, Sal Castro, and the blowouts, McGraw, Healing, Texas, how Tucson unified against us. How our ancestors walk among us. How our legends rattle our bones. How La Lucha makes us strong, but La Luna makes us who we are. She tells me she doesn't like to ride the bus alone. At least not at night. Tells me of dangers I never have to consider. Tells me the world is full of threats because the world is full of men. No exceptions. I sit. I listen. We reach our destination. Walk our separate ways. I find no peace these days. I head east towards clinics of cruelty, all humanity stripped from a system, sadism posed as social work in Amani. The writing on the wall will insult you in two languages in the corner, a Paramount and Whittier on the border, a Montebello and Pico Rivera, signs bring out to criminalize our movement, 6 months to a cage for cruising. My father always said they hate to see us shining. The car was once his. Its days are few. My feet are weary. I sleep in parking lots. Sleepwalk my way to the west side on some kind of festival lights at the beginning or the end of the Christopher Columbus Highway. I've made my way waist deep in the Pacific. I welcome the waves, make distant the land, make distant the chant. Come this far to forget, feel the moonlight, ripple my skin, awake again. I see them in the distance, the boys in blue, the killing crew, America, signed with a bullet, 5 pigs to one teenager, hands cuffed behind his back, loud. Proud frat boys walk by drinking out of flasks. Black youth is criminalized. White crime, state sanction their guns, their laughter. No crowd gathers. After an hour, they release him. No explanation. They simply tell him to stay out of trouble. This is the law of the land. I had this dream every so often of people gathered in distance, beyond borders and prisons, telling tales of a time when women feared the evening, communities were punished by color, and grown men hunted children, hardly able to believe there was a time people once lived that way. Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you so much, everybody. I actually have to run to the show right now, so it's been a blast. I'm out here in Italy, repping LA, so got my Lakers hat. All right, later, guys.
All right, I'll close this out. Safe travels, Matt. I'll close this out with Jack Hirschman's poem from Beat Not Beat. This is called Path. Go to your broken heart. If you think you don't have one, get one. To get one, be sincere. Learn sincerity of intent by letting life enter because you're helpless, really, to do otherwise. Even as you try escaping, let it take you and tear you open. Like a letter sent, like a sentence inside you've waited for all your life. Though you've committed nothing, let it send you up. Let it break your heart. Brokenheartedness is the beginning of all real reception. The ear of humility hears beyond the gates. See the gates opening. Feel your hands going akimbo on your hips, your mouth opening like a womb, giving birth to your voice for the first time. Go singing, whirling into the glory of being ecstatically simple. Write the poem. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, George. Beat not beat out. but in the house.
So good to hear all of you from Southern California area, whether you're from at the moment in Italy or wherever you guys are at. Jack Hirschman's perfect representation of the international poet. Spent a lot of time, of course, as San Francisco poet laureate in San Francisco, but traveled to New York quite a bit. We saw him here regularly. He spent a lot of time in Italy as well as England, and quite an extensive reach into South America as well. So it's nice to have all of us here in the international family of poets. Speaking of internationally, we're now going to turn to the third group of people that we have represented today, who were picked out by Mahmoud, a friend of mine of origin, Syrian origin. And with us today, we have two individuals, Noor Nasra and Deema Mahmoud. We're going to go first with Noor, who I believe is coming to us today from Dubai. She's a literary program director at the Kutubna Cultural Center in Dubai, and is a translator, poet, and writer, born in Damascus, and a couple of books of poetry in Syracuse and in Syria and Germany. And her poetry is translated into several languages: Spanish, Romanian, and English. So, Noor, if you could please unmute yourself, and we'll get started with your work. Take 10 minutes or so to present your work for us. We'll need you to unmute yourself. Can you hear me, Noor? Yeah, good. There's no volume. There's no volume. You have to turn it up. I'll tell you what, while we're waiting for Noor to work on our sound, why don't we go with Deema first instead, while Noor works on that. Deema, if you could unmute yourself. Deema Mahmoud is coming to us today from Egypt. Deema is an Egyptian poet with a BS Computer Sciences and Statistics. She's published 5 books of poetry, all of them in Arabic, and is the winner of the Helmi Salem Prize for New Poetry. Many of her poems have been translated into other languages, and let's see if we can't get Deema's sound on, and we will hear from her. Deema, welcome to the show.
I start.
Good.
I'm happy to join this meeting, and thanks you very much, George, and I'm happy to share my poems with you and with our friends. My first poem, Let Down. These jellyfish yawn after a night full of love and sleep, wake up when they got thrown by waves full of wine and fish. The question seeps out of their tentacles. What would bullet casing contain lipsticks? Would the barrel of guns become lampposts? Would the bombs turn into milk bottles? Would the military suites be seen to be part of skirts? Would the explosive pelt be used as bandages and splints. Napoleon, Macdonald, and Hajjaj crumble with physicosity above 3 lobsters, answer together in a voice oozing with ammonia and peeps of gambling tables. Their clappers sway right and left. No, no, didn't believe us. We are liars. Death of Poet. I heard that clause by Poet crouched inside the mouth of death. I don't know him, but the squeaking that smacked my nerve ends alerted me to the void around. Alerted me to the void around. Perhaps because death sensors that in my imagination gleam in all directions showed no mercy. They were loading children, teenagers, beautiful women, paupers, vendors, old people, lovers, and guys for free, and dumping them into junkyards full of skulls, epitaphs, and skeletons, while cutting white surrender flags into shrouders and silly coffins. A poet dies. That means the curve of the street corner will be sharper. That bullshit will pour out of the belly of indifference. That more holes and garbage will accumulate in the back street. That pine and oak trees will bend. That the executioner will increase the number of guillotines getting ready for the massacre. When the poet dies, the wall on which jasmine leaves will fall. Orange flowers will wither, dovers will cry, seas will pour into rivers, vine tree will yield raisins, and young maidens will awaken from love dreams. The poet overflows with love that exceeds life. Life can suffer him, so it mutilates itself a little while in the coffin, and he'll seep into the eye of the sun after hiding it from the eye of death, and hiding death from death itself. He'll gather its light into balls that he'll roll over the earth, so that others dance with butterflies on their way to death. A butterfly. As a raw butterfly, I float at home, in the kitchen, cutting a piece of it for poetry that beyond curtain. Nobody knows that a poem melted down from me, whereas washing dishes, a storm of words swept me while cooking okra. I sometimes don't have any explanation for the momentum covering me while grilling fish. Like pendulum, the stanzas vibrate in my head. I want them likewise, swinging and threshing, not to be polished by the vapor of frying and the smell of cleaning powders. May I wrap them in a towel, not to be wet by the moisture while cooling in the fridge. Scarcely I hurried to write down my stanzas that spouted from the kitchen on the mobile notes. When my home day ends, I look at the mirror, touching my eyelashes, eyes, lips, and my roses. So I have butchered my liaison completion. The idols of poetry that template me at the kitchen lacks in my praise and refuses to get out. I try remember, but in vain, as if fell in the soup plate of my husband, who swigged it, saying, "Explain to me why some of your food is more delicious than others." Another time, he winks me, flirting at the mirror, pulling out the poetry stanzas from my hair, printing them with his music on my lips. Then I want to step to complete the poem. Throwing up. I'm throwing up. Yes, throwing up. I curse the genes that bound me to the human race and handed me over this choice. I wish I were a mangy or a Shirazi cat, a mad or a well-bred dog. I don't care. I wish I were a little bird or a fly teeming with microbes from dump sites, endowed with a pair of wings to go far away and pull my soul out of this sinking human nutric pit. Oh, I'm searching for an exit. I'm suffocating and floating in nausea. Thick foam is choking me and no way to stop that. Is it okay to say more or enough? Okay. Only there is one, but I'm searching about 1 minute. I have one short one, but what time only? Yes. Becoming a fetus, I roll over myself, hoping to feed on the grass of beginnings. I become a fetus and get high on the musky scent of placenta. I recover that eternity which for a while was entwined with my mother, becoming one with it through orbits and spheres. I emerge clean of all human sediment, clear of all their masks and effigies, free of gel and dye stuff. I become and I get going without myths and prophecies. Thank you.
Thank you, Deema Mahmoud. Thank you very much. Let me ask you a question. Is that a picture behind you of the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yes, it's only by.
Have you been to San Francisco?
No, this is only from the choices of the Zoom.
Okay.
Choosing. Yes, only I choose. But I can't change it. This is
No, it's
this
okay.
is this is the fact.
Oh,
This
that's
is the
good.
fact, and this is yes.
Very good. Thank you very much for your poetry
Thank you.
and for joining us today. We're
Thank
gonna,
you.
I don't know what you do in Dubai for good luck, but I've got my fingers crossed now. Nora is going to be able to speak with us she's got her volume situation under control. Give it a shot, Nora. Oh. No. Any advice, anybody on this? I see you're not muted on Zoom, but in your computer, do you have like a volume control on your computer, and that's on? It's up to the max, yes or no?
Is she wearing headphones?
Can you hear me, Noor? It looks like she's wearing headphones. Noor, can you hear me?
That might be it. It's just...
George, did she try restarting her computer?
Yeah, come back in. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear that, Noor? You want to try restarting your computer very quickly? Yes or no? Give me some kind of a physical sign that you hear me. All right, then.
Put it in the chat, George.
Yeah, I've tried it in the chat also, in a Facebook chat. Well, I'm very sorry. Where'd she go? She must have heard me, because let's give her a chance to sign off and sign on. Anybody else want to read? Robert Savino, you've never read anything in this show. You want to read something? You got anything with you? Your microphone. Your microphone. Turn on your mic.
Hold on a second, see if I can grab something.
In the meantime, I'd like to thank our friends from who are not actually part of the show today, who are visiting with us. Bob Heeman, Linda Lerner, Francine, Cindy Hochman, Maggie Bloomfield, some very faithful members of the community. And so I want to thank you guys for being here today with us. And we're just gonna, if you will be patient just for a couple more minutes, we'll see if we can get Noor on. Otherwise, I'll sign the thing off, but we'll give it a try. Anybody got something wants to read while we're waiting?
What about you, George?
What about me? What did I write today? Yeah, why not?
I've got one.
Who's got one? Linda?
Catherine.
Go for it. Linda
Spring, spring water. I remember spring when my ex's children were babies and they had that media scare going on and on about some deranged modern cowboy poisoning the water supply with that damn LSD. A year ago, Skull Creek had to deal with a 300,000 gallon oil spill from a leaky pipeline. Wait, they leak? We all hope it won't spill into the Cimarron and cause another big fish kill, because nowadays bald eagles depend on those fish. And then I remembered that damn LSD scare. And why isn't the media scared about this spill? And I'm wondering, what really gave those trout rainbows?
Good point. All right, I'm hearing from Noor that she's trying to sign back on. And what did give those rainbows to the trout? I wonder myself sometimes. So writing today about sports fishermen, poets, or writers. And I thought of Hemingway right away. And of course, trout fishing in America with Richard Brautigan. Anybody else got a sports fisherman poet that they are aware of, that they could think of? I don't think so. Those are the two that come to mind. All right, I'm going to ring the bell and say that I'm going to call the time. So with apologies to Noor, who's struggling with her attempt to get her computer to work the way that we needed to. I'm gonna call it a day and say that I want to thank all of you who were able to participate today, from New York Red Weather for Media, from Southern California and the Beat Not Beat group, and and especially Deema Mahmoud, who's with us today from Egypt, even though she's got the Golden Gate Bridge behind her. I think we had a pretty good show and a lot of fun, and I'm sure that you got to hear something that you haven't heard before, to the extent that you can develop relationships on the basis of this. That's what this is all about, the triangulation of groups of poets, so that you further continue the conversation. That's right, David. The triangle is what it's all about. So with that, I'll thank you on behalf of the Walt Whitman Birthplace, Robert Savino, who's on the board of directors, and our very fun engineer, Heather, who's the icon for the Walt Whitman Birthplace, for your work today. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And And that's it. If there's nothing else, we'll call it a day. Thank you all for joining us.